Last training session of the year. Saying a little have a nice trip to Felipe here. Taking a little trip to Brazil. I think I've got the wrestling figured out in terms of when I need to shoot and when I could press the advantage. And then I've gotten a lot more comfortable with the tie-ups. Really nice work with the single leg, just squared into you, went for a foot sweep and then a snap down. That's going to be a good combination that I'll work in the future. Really working the dog bar nowadays, working the pass. So I've presented a bit of a complicated dilemma that half guard is no longer a great guard to use with me because I'm going to just fall down into that dog bar, and then in order for you to address it and not get tapped out, you give me the pass. And then just an amazing triangle here. I thought I'd be able to make up for it in the scramble a little bit, but just really nice catch. Just a clean entry into a double, and then I noticed that you were trying to put pressure in the guillotine. What saved me was forcing my head into your armpit and not going for the double leg or completing the double leg, but actually rising up, maybe even trying to get to your back there. And then bit of a dilemma that I'm presenting. If you don't go into a half guard and keep that leg on the outside, then heel hooks and leg locks become much more open. Next round with Ed, was able to block the takedown and then into my favorite sequence, but he's usually tough about this, very hard to finish. Just rock solid guillotine defense here. What he's able to do is advance position because he knows that I don't have the angle on the guillotine, and then quickly moves to a dominant position. So that is just confidence in the guillotine, or rather the guillotine defense, and confidence that the guillotine wasn't there. And then just slowly advances to a better and better position. Even though I try to make it to turtle, which is usually a good position for me, he has that underhook on that far side and attacks this really nice arm bar. So he's got an answer to the turtle as well. Go for an ankle pick, he's able to avoid, and eventually I grab a single, but nice little quick transportation to the back. And then a nice positional to the back. Just really nice work, really insistent, really good strength, really good isometric strength. then he's truly dangerous from everywhere, just arm bars from everywhere. Super impressive. So I used a little bit of flexibility and base there. In these positions, just really be cognizant of how my feet are oriented, and you can off balance me a little bit more there. So you had a good position there. You were in the right kind of leg entanglement, but I was just able to keep my base. So don't be afraid to put a little force into the weak point of the triangular base. So in these positions, what really helped me here was the fact that you weren't really stable on that underhook. You had an underhook, but when I tripod you over my shoulder like that, a really solid way to hold is a double underhook to keep kind of backpack on top of me. But the other thing too is that when you feel someone bigger getting up underneath you, you want to try and move and make sure that you have a good base. You don't want to have too much of your weight on top of another person that's moving, because just a quick movement and they'll be able to get you off of them. So one thing you want to think about is continuing to pass. So I know this is pretty tight, but you want to do what Professor Ed does and pass. And then from here, I'm just continuing the leg locking battle started last week. Just looking for leg locking finishes. Just be careful with that kind of stuff. Don't be afraid to twist a little bit. I'll let you move and I'll tell you when you're doing something dangerous, but you do want to get out of there. So one part of the takedowns or the wrestling that's going to be something that I use a lot more is that heavy snap down that I think I'm going to start using it as a real setup for other things. And then that front headlock position is something that I'm going to look for a little more, just because I'm remembering also that I am a little bit taller than you, so I'm able to get that front headlock position a little bit easier. And then this is kind of the next position we need to figure out, because that is where we're going to end up a lot in terms of the dog bar. When you turn your knee on the inside like this is what's going to end up happening. So if you can figure out a good strategy from the dog fight, from the underhook on your side, maybe it'll have to be an overhook on your side. It has to be that traditional wizard position, and then I'll just be trying to force that position, because that's where you have to go if you don't want that knee to get hyperextended from the dog bar. And then here I attack again we kind of go into that dogfight position, but it allows me to collapse on top of you, and then just the neck crank finish here. And then you can see how easily I can get into that position. Just make that underhook on that far leg, hook that heel, and then kind of fall into that knee position. That's one of those things where if I do that right, I may be able to finish the person on the way down. So if I'm ever at like ADCC or something, I can just finish people falling into their guard like that. Because if I do that properly, I can hyperextend the knee as I'm falling. If I fall, hit first, I can break the knee before anything else can happen. That's a very scary, dangerous technique actually, if I do it quote unquote properly. But I think it'll be good for us to have a good strategy to defend it, because it is kind of perfect for me. I do have kind of the perfect body for it. So this is one way I found I could catch you by surprise, is just that quick level change into the body lock. Really nice armbar defense, again, is that grabbing of the leg with your leg. So if you can get any leg there, it's just impossible to do anything because you're so comfortable. And then that inverting underneath may be vulnerable to a leg lock here, but just great inversions. That's the great thing about your technique, is that there's quite a bit of rolling back takes and inversions into leg locks, and then that beautiful takedown. Just textbook, beautiful takedown. And then honestly, one of the best things that you do is have very sticky underhooks. You almost actually got me there with that underhook armbar, and then a beautiful little arm drag to the back, just using that dog bar tactic that's been working for me with Felipe. So warning bells already should be going off, and by the time I lock that hand, I'm just waiting for you to lift your foot. It's a tough position, so if you feel someone has a hand on your toes, and then just a little Uchimata snap down into a back take. Really good defense here. Just another really great training session. See you next year. Great year of training.